Fuel has just been sprayed at this hour on the already smoldering fire that is the AT&T Time Warner merger. In a memo Fox Business obtained today, CEO Randall Stephenson called the hiring of Michael Cohen, that is, of course, President Trump's lawyer, a, quote, big mistake. But is it now Stephenson's job on thin ice with his board of directors? Charlie Gasparino has been working the phones.
I'm not saying that Stephenson is going to be fired here, but we do have sources who understand the thinking of the AT&T board members. And what we understand is that this Michael Cohen misstep, hiring him as a consultant, he's not quite a lobbyist, paying him $50,000 a month, to sort of understand the thinking of Donald Trump, because Michael Cohen, it was Donald Trump's fixer. And by the way, this is interesting because it's AT&T is a very high, considers itself a very white shoe company, actually going out and hiring some guy who is a self-described fixer for Donald Trump, fixes his.
But Randall Stephenson didn't do the hiring.
Well, his head of corporate relations, government relations, did. Who reported directly to him, and this is not something that caught anybody's. I would be very surprised if Randall Stephenson didn't know that Michael Cohen was working. I'm not saying he did. They're not saying
$600,000.
$600,000 a year. That's a big chunk, and he's got the presence here. So here's what we know: AT&T board members are now increasingly frustrated with him, worried openly about his judgment or lack of judgment given this latest misstep. We should point out that they were somewhat worried about his lack of judgment on mergers. In the past, you know how he had that ill-fated T-Mobile merger. You know, he tried to buy them, I think in 2011. Obama Justice Department said no. A lot of people thought he should have known and not wasted the time with this. What they are saying is this, quite frankly: if AT&T does not get a clean win on the case to take over Time Warner, as you know, Judge Leon, the federal district judge, is set to rule on that, I think, by June. He set himself a date certain, by June. It could come sooner. If they don't get a clear win on that, a lot of people think that this guy's on increasingly thin ice with the board and he could be out. Now, what is a clear win? Clear win is, okay, you can do the deal. We're not going to stop it, and there aren't any conditions. And here's where it gets really rough for Mr. Stephenson, from what I'm getting. And my sources are, we should point out, company officials who are talking to telecom lobbyists who are talking to me. What would be problematic for them? Obviously, if Judge Leon stopped the deal. It's unclear if that's really going to happen. But if he imposes a lot of conditions on this deal, so many conditions that it will hurt the earnings potential of AT&T when it brings in the content of Time Warner. If he puts sort of handcuffs on the ability of Time Warner to truly monetize and leverage HBO, CNN through the DirecTV subsidiary of AT&T, if he makes it like, you have to share that content, you have to put that content in a special vehicle that shares it with everybody, well, guess what? That's going to be bad. And if that's bad, there are board members that are increasingly frustrated with Mr. Stephenson, and you could say, I'm not saying he's out, you could say his job is clearly in jeopardy, and this is a fairly significant story. So we're going to have to wait for the AT&T merger, right, or the announcement to come out. But the Michael Cohen thing has kind of ripped open a wound on the board of directors of AT&T that now we have a questioning of his job.
Okay. Charlie?
Job status.
Thank you.
Future.